Yo, if what we just heard is real, this changes everything. That's the line blowing up timelines right now, and it's not coming from blogs, it's coming from fans who swear a mysterious audio just flipped the entire story upside down. Out of nowhere, a recording allegedly tied to King Von is circulating online, and people are calling it his last call. The clip is short, rough, and unverified, but the reaction? Absolute chaos. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high within minutes as listeners claimed the call sounded tense, emotional, and nothing like what they expected. Some say it feels unfinished, like something was cut out. Others insist there's more happening in the background than anyone wants to admit. And then comes the part nobody saw coming. A name that wasn't supposed to be in this conversation at all is suddenly being dragged into it. Boozy Badass. No one's accusing. No one's confirming. But somehow, this audio has people saying his role looks way bigger than anyone imagined. Blogs are scrambling. YouTubers are replaying every second. Fans are arguing in real time over what's real, what's fake, and what might be hiding in plain sight. Because if this recording is authentic, it doesn't just reopen old wounds, it raises questions nobody was ready to ask. The moment the audio began circulating, it didn't feel like a normal leak. It felt like a spark landing on dry ground. Within minutes, fans were reposting it with captions filled with disbelief, shock emojis, and the same question repeated over and over. Why does this sound so different? According to online chatter, the recording allegedly captured King Von in a raw, unfiltered moment, far removed from the confident image people were used to seeing. Not a performance. Not a studio clip. Just a voice that sounded like it was carrying weight. What immediately stood out to listeners was the tone. Fans claimed it wasn't casual. It wasn't playful. It sounded controlled but tense, like someone choosing words carefully. There were pauses that felt intentional, moments where the silence seemed louder than the conversation itself. Social media detectives jumped in fast, slowing the clip down, isolating the audio, boosting the background, trying to hear what they believed others might miss. As the clip spread, reactions split sharply. Some fans insisted it had to be real, saying the emotion couldn't be replicated. Others argued it was clearly manipulated, pointing to uneven audio levels and subtle distortions. Emotions ran high as both sides battled it out in comment sections, each convinced they were the ones seeing the truth. What should have been a simple debate quickly turned personal, with longtime supporters accusing each other of disrespecting a legacy. Then the speculation escalated. People started talking about context. Who was on the other end of the call? Where was it recorded? Why had it never surfaced before? According to viral posts, the call allegedly took place during a narrow window of time that many fans had already scrutinized for years. That timing alone made the clip feel heavier. It didn't just exist, it landed exactly where old questions still lived. As blogs picked up the story, the headlines grew bolder. Phrases like "last call," "final moments," and "hidden audio" began dominating feeds. Fans were shocked not just by the clip itself, but by how quickly it was being framed as something more than a rumor. The family was left divided in the court of public opinion, with some voices calling for restraint while others demanded transparency. And then came the detail that shifted everything. Listeners claimed they heard a reference, not clear, not direct, but enough to make people pause. A change in tone. A moment where the energy felt different. A background sound that didn't belong. Suddenly, people weren't just asking, "Is this real?" They were asking who else was part of this moment. That's when a familiar name entered the conversation, not through official confirmation, but through speculation that spread like wildfire. According to fan theories, the audio hinted at a connection involving Boozy Badass. No explicit mention. No clear statement. Just enough ambiguity to ignite 1,000 interpretations. For some, it felt impossible. For others, it felt like a missing puzzle piece sliding into place. Boozy's silence only intensified the reaction. In the world of online narratives, silence is rarely seen as neutral. Fans dissected past interviews, old social media posts, and long-forgotten clips, searching for patterns that could support their theories. Emotions ran high as every archived moment was reinterpreted through this new lens. Comments flooded in claiming, "This hits different now," while others pushed back hard, warning against jumping to conclusions. At the same time, skepticism grew louder. Audio engineers and tech-savvy users weighed in, explaining how easily voices can be replicated and altered. Some warned that AI had blurred the line between real and fabricated beyond recognition. According to them, the real danger wasn't the clip itself, but how quickly people were willing to believe it. Still, even those warnings didn't slow the momentum. The story had already taken on a life of its own. Behind the scenes, creators raced to be first rather than accurate. Reaction videos popped up by the hour, each promising a new breakdown or a hidden detail. Some played the clip slowed down. Others sped it up. A few claimed they could hear whispers, footsteps, or even a second voice just out of range. Each interpretation contradicted the last, but together they built a fog of mystery that kept viewers watching. Fans began arguing about motive. Some believed the clip was leaked intentionally, meant to send a message or provoke a response. Others thought it was a distraction, a way to redirect attention during a sensitive moment. A smaller group suggested it was a test, a soft launch to see how the public would react before something bigger dropped. None of these theories had proof, but all of them felt plausible enough to fuel the conversation. As the hours passed, the narrative shifted again. It wasn't just about the audio anymore. It became about trust, about who knew what and when, about why certain details had never been addressed publicly. The family was left divided in how the story was being consumed, while fans debated whether digging deeper honored the truth or crossed a line. What made the situation even more unsettling was how familiar it felt. Many viewers said it reminded them of other moments where information surfaced years later, forcing everyone to reevaluate what they thought they understood. The idea that something important could be hidden in plain sight struck a nerve. Emotions ran high because people don't like feeling misled, especially when loss is involved. As night turned into morning, the clip was everywhere. Even those who doubted its authenticity couldn't escape it. The conversation refused to slow down. Every scroll revealed a new angle, a new claim, a new reaction. And right at the center of it all was that same unresolved feeling that this call, real or not, had reopened doors many thought were permanently closed. The story now sat at a crossroads. Either the audio would be debunked and fade away, or it would become the first piece of something much larger. And as speculation continued to spiral, one question lingered louder than the rest. If this recording doesn't mean anything, why does it feel like everyone involved is suddenly being watched again? As the audio kept circulating, the focus slowly shifted from shock to interpretation, and that's where emotions truly ran high. Fans weren't just listening anymore. They were assigning meaning to every breath, every pause, every change in tone. Some claimed the voice sounded cautious, like someone aware they were being overheard. Others insisted it sounded confident, almost rehearsed. That split alone turned comment sections into battlegrounds, where belief and disbelief clashed non-stop. According to online theories, the alleged call captured King Von at a moment when pressure was already building behind the scenes. Fans began saying this wasn't about one conversation, but about a series of decisions that had been quietly unfolding. Emotions ran high because people felt they were listening to something unfinished, like a chapter ripped out of a book before the ending could be read. As bloggers jumped in, the framing grew more dramatic. Words like betrayal, warning, and coded language started appearing in thumbnails and headlines. Viewers reacted instantly. Some accused creators of reaching too far. Others said ignoring the implications was naive. The family was left divided in public opinion, with supporters arguing whether curiosity was disrespect or a search for truth. Then attention snapped back to Boozy Badass, not because of anything he said, but because of what he didn't. Fans noticed he hadn't addressed the rumors, and silence became fuel. One comment read, "If this was nothing, why not shut it down?" Another replied, "Not everything deserves a response." Emotions ran high as assumptions hardened into beliefs. Old clips resurfaced almost instantly. Interviews from years ago were reposted with new captions, suggesting hidden meanings that no one had noticed before. Lines once taken as jokes were suddenly framed as hints. Body language was analyzed frame by frame. Fans argued whether they were seeing patterns or creating them. Either way, the narrative kept expanding. Meanwhile, tech-savvy viewers tried to slow things down. They broke down audio frequencies, pointing out inconsistencies that suggested editing or synthesis. Some warned that AI technology had made it nearly impossible to trust what you hear anymore. Others dismissed those warnings, saying emotion can't be faked that well. The debate only deepened the divide. Creators added dramatization to keep attention locked. Reaction videos featured imagined scenarios, reenacted phone calls, and speculative dialogue. "What if he meant this?" one creator asked. "What if that pause was intentional?" another suggested. Each video contradicted the last, but together they built a version of events that felt real enough to keep viewers watching. Fans were shocked by how fast the story evolved. Within days, it was no longer about verifying audio. It was about rewriting history. People spoke with certainty about motivations they couldn't prove. Others pushed back, saying speculation was turning tragedy into entertainment. The family was left divided again, at least in how outsiders spoke about them. Then came another rumor. Someone claimed a longer version of the call existed. No proof, just whispers. That alone reignited urgency. Fans imagined what might have been cut out, what might have been too sensitive to release. The existing clip began to feel like a teaser, not the full story, and anticipation replaced skepticism. As tension grew, so did frustration. Viewers demanded clarity that no one could give. Every refresh brought new theories, new accusations, new emotional reactions. Emotions ran high because people felt close to something important, yet locked out of the truth. It was a cycle that fed itself. At this point, the story had outgrown the audio. It became about trust, silence, and the fear that key moments had been hidden intentionally. Whether the recording was real or fake almost didn't matter anymore. It had already reshaped conversations, reopened wounds, and pulled new names into an old tragedy. By the end of the week, one thing was clear. The call had done what rumors do best. It blurred lines, divided fans, and ensured the story wouldn't fade quietly. Everyone was waiting for the next reveal, unsure whether it would bring answers or push the narrative even further into chaos. As the noise around the recording reached its peak, something subtle but important changed in the way fans were reacting. The shock was still there, but it was now mixed with fatigue, suspicion, and a deeper emotional investment. People weren't just chasing answers anymore. They were defending the versions of the story they had already chosen to believe. Emotions ran high because backing down now felt like admitting they'd been wrong from the start. Online debates shifted from audio analysis to motive analysis. Viewers started asking who benefited most from the chaos. Some argued the recording was meant to distract, others believed it was meant to pressure someone into speaking. A few even claimed it was revenge disguised as a leak. None of these theories came with proof, but each one sounded believable enough to gain followers. The story stopped being about sound waves and started being about intention. As days passed, creators pushed the narrative further, framing the situation as a power struggle rather than a mystery. They speculated about behind-the-scenes tensions, unspoken grudges, and conversations that never made it public. Imagined dialogue filled the gaps. "You don't release something like this by accident," one creator claimed. Another countered, "Sometimes chaos isn't planned, it just happens." The contradiction kept viewers watching. Fans were shocked by how personal the arguments became. People accused each other of disrespect, clout chasing, or blind loyalty. Emotions ran high because everyone felt protective of something different: the truth, the legacy, or the right to question. The family was left divided in the way outsiders spoke about them, even though no direct statements were coming from anyone close. A new layer of tension appeared when viewers started noticing how quickly misinformation spread. Screenshots of fake confirmations circulated briefly before being deleted. Edited clips were passed off as originals. Each correction came too late to stop the damage. Some fans admitted they no longer knew what to trust. Others doubled down, convinced that confusion itself was proof something was being hidden. Meanwhile, silence from key figures continued. No clarifications, no denials, no explanations. That silence became a character in the story, interpreted differently by everyone watching. To some, it looked strategic. To others, it looked like avoidance. Emotions ran high because silence allowed imagination to take over, and imagination rarely shows restraint. As attention stretched on, the conversation turned inward. Viewers began questioning why they were so invested. Some admitted the recording reopened unresolved feelings about loss and injustice. Others said they felt manipulated by content designed to provoke reaction rather than understanding. The line between curiosity and exploitation blurred, and not everyone was comfortable with where it landed. Creators responded by reframing the story yet again. Instead of promising answers, they promised perspective. Instead of claiming truth, they claimed conversation. This isn't about proving anything, one video argued. It's about asking why this still hurts. That approach softened some reactions but intensified others. Emotions ran high because shifting the frame didn't erase the questions. As the weeks went on, new content slowed, but the narrative didn't disappear. It settled into a background hum, resurfacing whenever someone referenced it in passing. Fans still argued in comment sections, still connected dots, still wondered if they'd ever know more. The unresolved nature of the story became its most powerful feature. What lingered most was the sense that something had been changed permanently. Even if the recording was proven fake, it had already altered perception. It reshaped how people talked about the past and how they viewed silence in the present. The family was left divided not by statements, but by stories told in their absence. Eventually, attention drifted, as it always does. New controversies replaced old ones. New clips demanded analysis. But this story didn't vanish, it waited. In memories, in arguments, in the quiet moments when fans replayed what they thought they heard. Emotions ran high because the ending never arrived. And that's what made this chapter so unsettling. There was no resolution, no confirmation, no clean conclusion. Just a reminder that in the age of leaks and speculation, truth doesn't always matter as much as belief. Sometimes a story survives not because it's proven, but because it feels real enough to change how people see everything that came before. And now it's on you. You've heard the theories, the speculation, the reactions, and the silence that's kept this story alive. You've seen how one short, unverified recording was enough to reopen old wounds, divide fans, and completely shift the way people talk about King Von and the moments leading up to his death. The question isn't just whether the audio is real or fake anymore. The real question is what it means that so many people were ready to believe it. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think this last call is being misunderstood, or do you believe it points to something bigger that hasn't been addressed yet? Does the silence from people being mentioned make things feel more suspicious, or is the internet once again creating a story where there might not be one? And when it comes to the way Boozy Badass keeps getting pulled into the conversation, do you see coincidence or a pattern? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those stories where every perspective matters. If you caught something in the audio others might have missed, say it. If you think the whole thing is being blown out of proportion, explain why. Just keep it respectful, because behind every headline are real people and real loss. If you want updates as this story continues to unfold, make sure you like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Stories like this don't disappear overnight, and when new angles surface, you'll want to be here when they do. Until then, stay locked in, stay questioning, and remember, sometimes the loudest part of a story is the silence that follows.